All right, Friday afternoon, thought I would just hang out for a little bit. I'm just gonna check to see if this is all working. Whenever you go live, you gotta just make sure. Okay, I see it there. Just waiting to see it on YouTube. Still not showing up there. But if you do show up, just say hi in the chat and I'll say hi back. Talk about what we're working on. What is going on here? So always like works on Twitter right away, but then takes a while to go to YouTube and everything else. Yeah, it's still plugging away. Should be on Twitch soon here. Just finishing a few things. I can show you a few things in a second. Let's see here. All right, Twitch is working. One thing about Twitch is the ads on Twitch are terrible. Oh, here we go. YouTube's working. Beauty. All right, I'm just gonna tell folks in Slack here that I'm live. Let's say. Going live for a bit, come hang out. All right. So I'm just working on a few things, finishing up. Well, actually, one thing I'll show you is I just had John Buda's away, and so I'm recording episodes where I just interview people for our podcast. I did Spencer Fry for this past Tuesday's episode, and this coming Tuesday, we're doing it's an interview with Taylor Otwell, who's the creator of Laravel, which is a PHP framework. And this is a clip from that interview. What's weird, there's a bunch of weird things to me. Like you didn't think you weren't really that nerdy of a guy. You weren't super into computers or anything.
Yeah, like
actually I might clean this up a little bit, but this part here kind of blew my mind. And actually this fellow right here was listening to the Patreon version. I released an early version, and this part kind of blew his mind. But first, what's weird, there's a bunch of weird things to me. Like you didn't, I might just cut this part out. There's a bunch of weird things to me. Like you didn't think you weren't to me. Like okay, cut out the likes. You weren't really that nerdy of a guy. You weren't. Let's see what this sounds like. There's a bunch of weird things to me. Really that nerdy of a guy. Oh, no, too much. What did I miss? You didn't think you weren't to me. Like okay, so see if this is right. Things to me. Like you weren't really that nerdy of a guy. You weren't like. Let's cut this part here. Things to me. Like you weren't really that nerdy of a guy. You weren't super into computers or anything. You weren't super into computers or anything.
yeah.
By the way, I should just say hi to everyone that's shown up. Happy Friday if you are here. If you're in Japan, is it already What time is it in Japan now? Is it already the next day? It's already Saturday? Anyway, this clip really did blow my mind. When I heard this, I was like, I can't believe this. So, okay, I'll play the whole thing now. There's a bunch of weird things to me. Like, you weren't really that nerdy of a guy. You weren't super into computers or anything.
Yeah, like a matter of fact, when I graduated from Arkansas Tech University in 2008, and I had an IT degree, but I was actually so not interested in programming that I actually considered just getting a different job outside of IT entirely. Like it just wasn't, I think it was because I hadn't been presented programming in sort of a way that captured my attention yet. Mm-hmm. And so I just wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to kind of do, but I just happened to fall it into a full-time job that's what I did. So
I might even cut this part.
Outside of IT entirely. Like it just wasn't, I think it was because I hadn't been presented programming in sort of a way that captured my attention yet. Mm-hmm. And so I just wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to kind of do. But
what did he say here?
Out of IT entirely. Like it just wasn't a way that captured my attention yet. Mm-hmm. And so I just wasn't sure.
Let's see if this works.
Like it just wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to kind of do. But I just happened to fall it into, it wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to entirely. Like it just wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to kind of do. But I just happened to fall it into a full-time job that's what I did. So that kind of.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Solve that problem.
Yeah. What's weird for me is because you have a podcast called Laravel Snippets.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And when you talk about, I'll cut this part out too. Because you have a podcast called What's weird for me is because you have a podcast called Laravel Snippets.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And weird for me is when you talk about programming, it's clear that now you're passionate about it. Like you'll comment on, the debate of the day on Twitter. You'll give your opinion on, what you think is the best way to do things. So what changed? All right, so that right there is going to be the teaser for this Taylor Otwell episode. So I'm just going to, hey, how's it going, Val? I'm just going to Taylor teaser new, export that, and now I'll show you what I do next. So I think I can close this, and now you can write as much as you want, Val. We're here hanging out. Okay, so this tool that I use for creating these little kind of teaser videos for podcasts is called Headliner. And I'll just select this. What's this all about? Yes, small business. That's weird. Okay, so I'll choose the file. This is the one we just created. And go here, just play this, There's a bunch of weird things to me. Okay, so that's the clip. And now I'm going to, make it into a square to start. And round bars, add a background image. We've got, hey Miguel, how's it going? How do I reply? Oh no, I can't reply in, it's read only. I can't reply to you. Good to see you. Miguel, this interview, you will love it. It is crazy. Just tons of stuff. I was just showing people, Mike is a Patreon supporter, and so he got to hear this full interview with Taylor early, and there's just a bunch of parts in it that are super interesting. Right, so let's get a photo here we can use. Gotta find a photo of Taylor and I. Or just Taylor. Nope, nope, nope. Where is it? That's a pretty good one. So then we can crop this. And yeah, that's basically what I do. And then I'll create the clip and post it to social media. A lot of people ask how they can do this stuff, and I think Headliner's still free, so if you're looking for a good option to make these little videos, this is a good one. There's a bunch of weird things to me, like, so that's pretty good. Export it. Oh, and then I've got this other trick, is I have an outro clip somewhere here that will just play this clip at the end. So just export that. What are you folks working on right now? Oh, what's going on here? Is this still going? That's weird. If you're still in the chat, maybe just answer that question so I know that you're still here. It's weird. All right, so we're going to wait for that to go. Show you a few other things I'm working on. Okay, so this is done. Save this. Call it Taylor. Oh, no. What am I doing? That's just the HTML file. Still here. Perfect. All right, so we're going to download this. And now I'm going to go to Twitter and say, just finished an interview with Taylor for Tuesday's episode. And then I'm going to use this clip.
Arkansas Tech University.
There's a bunch of weird things. So that'll be the full clip there. And there's something else I want to say. Maybe just like this. The all-in-one go. How do you get the, does it explode? Yeah, exploding head. Then I'll go subscribe here to get it on Tuesday. Then it'll be transistor.fm/subscribe. Wish you could, oh yeah, you probably can check your links from here. Just want to make sure that's going the right place. Okay. Yeah, so that's basically how I do my promo. Oh, actually, I usually copy these and then I'll do it other places too, like LinkedIn and all that other stuff. How's it going? Wilbury Powery. I can't at reply to you on here. Do you think Taylor's on LinkedIn? Probably not. Hey, Taylor Otwell. Oh, he's still got his old Userscape thing going. And then what do I need? I need video. Perfect. Post this here too. I know you can use tools that do this cross-posting for you, but I find it's better to just do it here. Hey, what's up, Josh? I'm actually going to be in Portland at the end of this month. When's that happening? When do we go? 25th. John Buda and I are going down to Portland for a bit of a founder's retreat. All right, so let's post this. And it's going. This is going. Cool. What's this do? Oh, is this showing? This is the live video. All right, so yeah, that's how I do a little podcast promotion. What else did I want to show you that I'm working on? Nice, Val, you're working on, are you using Rewardful? So this is the other thing I just finished today, is a big post on how to start a podcast. I got a list of kind of terms to shoot for from Andrew. Where is this? Where did he put this? Yeah, he sent me a bunch of keywords to can I show you this actually? I think I can. Yeah, haha. Oops. Oh, I just blocked Chris. How do I undo that now? No, I want him back. Okay. I was just gonna say haha. But this is the initial kind of list he gave me, and he just said there's so much opportunity for these particular keywords, and so even though it's really competitive, it's still worth doing it. So I wrote a guide, and looks like this. Here's the guide. How come, man, this new Restream chat is, here's the guide. Will that just not work? There we go. Sorry, if you just posted something in chat, you'll have to repost it. And yeah, it's pretty, I think it's, what I like about it is a lot of guides. I've written guides before that always start with pick your topic, a bunch of other steps, but which are important. But I know that what people really want is, what gear do I buy? What's a preamp? How should I use that? How do I record and edit the podcast? This is the other one I wrote quite a while ago, right? This is the old one, and I'm like, yeah, first choose your topic, then do your research, then start practicing. But people don't want to hear that shit. They just want, what gear do I have to buy? And so I jumped right to that here, and then I have just really kind of bullet form. Here's what you need. Here are some options. I even list some of our competitors on this section. How podcast distribution works, most popular podcast listening apps, and how to submit them. And then I think a pretty good list of good ways to promote your podcast. There's a big, long list here. And then a summary at the end here. So I'm going to share this now. One pet peeve I have that maybe I'll share right now is articles that don't have a social sharing image on them for Facebook and Twitter. You've got to add these. That's just like, it bugs me so much when I see something on Twitter that doesn't have, like, what's a good example? I think you folks know what I'm talking about, but let's see if I can find one. See, these all have, oh, there's my, well, of course I can't find one. Oh yeah, hey Ben, how's it going? Yeah, Clubhouse, always pinned, right here. Oh, you think Restream is getting tons of traffic? Oh, look, we just did our year-end tax filing, Ben. That's what's in our pipeline right now. All right, so here's the article, Twitter card validator. It's going to preview that now. So this is what it'll look like without the social sharing image. And then this is what it'll look like with the social sharing image. So just a little bit more work and you can have that. Ben, that was an epic of work. Yeah. Especially when you have an owner, it's a C Corp, but I'm in Canada, he's in the United States. It's not super fun. Right now, we're paying me as a contractor from my Canadian corporation. But yeah, there's a lot of logistics in there. Okay, so now I want to share this. Just finished writing 5 steps, how to create a podcast in 5 steps. I tried to make it as simple and straightforward as possible. So, yeah, I do too, Will. I miss that old lead generation card. It was so good. Maybe as straightforward as possible. Just straightforward 2 words. Straightforward. It's not giving me any suggestions. What happens if I make it 1 word? Oh, I guess that's right too. All right, let's Go back. Beauty. Okay, so I'll tweet that. What else? What else am I working on? What are you working on, Ben, over at Clubhouse? What are you folks doing on a Friday afternoon? Right, so that's going. Bring that back out. The other thing I'm going to work on, and I'll probably have to do this offline because I can't manage this video and write at the same time, but this is the article I'm writing for tomorrow's email newsletter. And maybe I'll just read out this part. Sometimes reading things out loud is helpful. And yeah, then unless folks have questions or something they want to talk about, we'll probably end this stream. So I open with this story. Can you folks, I got to move this over a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so yeah, open with this story. It says, I'll never forget a phone call I had with a customer. He'd bought my course for $299. After testing that price for a year, I decided to lower the price to $199. And I gave folks who'd bought at the higher price the option to have a free consulting call with me. So we had the call. At the end of the call, he said, you know, you really should be charging more. You really should be charging more for your course. So I listened attentively as he told me about his pricing philosophy. And then he started telling me, about all the other courses he'd bought. Most were over $1,000. And he insisted he'd gotten good value out of all of them. He insisted, might need to rework the sentence. Compared to those courses, mine was, this is probably too big of a word. Let's just, mine was underpriced. Mine was too cheap. And this is the part that's funny. Suddenly there was a commotion off screen. It turns out, I should almost say it turns out, even though whenever I hear it turns out, I think of Merlin Mann. You know what I'm talking about? Turns out, does he have, let's see if there's a turns out, probably doesn't have it, but that's kind of like a meme with Merlin. Anyway, turns out his girlfriend had been listening to our conversation, and apparently his course buying habits were a surprise to her. And she started yelling at him like off screen. So I'm still on the Skype call with him, and she's yelling at him for spending so much money. And then all of a sudden the call, the call goes dead. And so that's kind of the opening story for this post I'm writing for my newsletter tomorrow about this idea that, especially in bootstrapping, that you should always charge more. And so, yeah, I'm going to go through a bunch of things. There's lots of, I'm actually not opposed to the idea of charging more, but I think it's become, it's devolved into a meme. It's treated like a panacea, a catch-all for like all your startup problems. And I think it's also given too quickly as advice. So folks will, you'll be telling them about your product or your app, and it's like instantly the solution is, oh, well, you should charge more, or you should double your price. And that just feels like it's overused maybe, and also strange that folks would give that advice out of the blue, especially if you don't have the experience in somebody's market, or maybe you're not familiar with what stage of business they're in. I really like this quote from Sean McCabe: "The right advice at the wrong time is the wrong advice." And I'm sharpening it a little bit by saying, without knowing the relevant context, nobody can give you the right advice. So, I don't know. Do any of you have thoughts on pricing? Charge more? Anything I should consider while I finish this? Man, how come I have to reload this again? This new chat is... There. This new chat is not working super great. So yeah, that's going to be the thing I send out for tomorrow's newsletter. Just made a new newsletter page here. Yeah, this is the new. At least I think it's the new one. I downloaded the new one, but maybe I didn't install it right. Let's see. Do I have two versions of Restream? Restream. April 5th. How do I tell what version I'm on? About. Yeah, 2.00 beta. I'm pretty sure this is the new one. But yeah, I have to keep reloading it, which makes me think I'm missing some of what you folks are posting. So, all right, well, any thoughts about this before I leave? Last chance. I don't know why this is not. Apparently I can still see what you're posting, but. Let's see. Cool, yeah, Jace, you got to read it. I sent you the full thing. Yeah, I actually rewrote quite a bit of it yesterday, and I'm gonna write even more, because Patio 11, who is a friend of mine, like an internet friend, is the one that's kind of connected to this philosophy, and this isn't like a hit piece on him at all. I actually think if you read his stuff, if you read his newsletter and his essay, he goes into depth. He's really thoughtful about pricing, but now it's just kind of given off, like you say, Will, as a just as a off the cuff answer. Like, you got problems, charge more. That just doesn't make sense. And I've got a bunch of tweets here. Here's Ruben Gamez, who's had pricing changes that seemed good at first in the initial 60 days, but then he had churn on higher tiers or more downgrades to lower. So unless you're like tracking LTV, like lifetime value as a whole, you're not going to know. You might get an initial like revenue spike, but where's the other one I have on here? Yeah, so software is still extremely high margin, and keeping prices low enough to make indefinite renewal a no-brainer and switching not worth the effort may positively trade lower average revenue per user for higher long-term retention. I think this is a big piece of this. And yeah, Jace, I think I addressed this briefly. Where is that again? I addressed this briefly here. Because this is Rob Walling's quote. So he goes, in the very early days, I don't know that you want to charge more, but you should charge something. Maybe I should bold that or something. Because I think that's the key learning, is that in the early days, it is important that you charge something so that you know if people are willing to jump over that hurdle and take out their wallets and pay for this thing. That's an important thing to test. But if you're building the next Basecamp and you think you're going to charge more than Basecamp and succeed in getting people to switch to you right off the bat, unless you've come up with something pretty special, I think that's going to be a hard sell. And that's one of the points, right? Is that if there's competition, then you can't just charge more. If your competitors are all in this range here, for you to go way above that is like, what's another word for suicide without saying suicide? You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. I think free tiers for bootstrappers don't work out so good. Gotta find a better word. No, none of these are the right word. Oh, these are terrible. Tragedy. It'll be a tragedy. Self-destructive. Thank you. There we go. Yeah, detrimental. Yeah, you guys got it. So, yeah, so I'm going to bring in some of these thoughts. I'm going to bring in some of these thoughts. Going to bring in some of this too. This is Ryan Culp. The only customer worth having is a repeat one. So, oh, and the other article, so I'll read this first, but customer satisfaction is the difference between what we pay and what we're willing to pay. And Nathan Barry, I've been thinking about this article a ton lately because I think this shows you what what Ryan calls customer satisfaction, the difference between what we pay and what we're willing to pay, or Nathan is talking about what we pay and the value that we get, right? And that these things can go up and down. So he feels like at $100 per month, Basecamp, for the price he pays, he gets this much value. But other apps like Segment, I would definitely agree with him on this, they give a lot of value, but they cost about the same, right? So the value you get is about what you pay for. And he calls it, the result is more money for them, but we end up resenting a company that we'd normally love if they would just consider leaving some value on the table. And so I'm thinking about talking a little bit about price. I haven't even looked this up yet. I thought about this in the car. Price to value ratio. The price to book ratio is a financial, no, that's not what we want. Yeah, no, see, this is different. This is like valuating stock. What I'm talking about is, so in Nathan's example, you know, he pays $99. So Basecamp is $99, but the value he gets is $999, almost $1,000. And so the price to value ratio is 99 divided by 999, right? Does that make sense? As opposed to, what's this, times 100? Well, no, we can still use that. And then we could use a different example, like segment is, man, how much is segment now? So $120 base, but I know I end up paying a lot more than this. It's like additional things you pay for. Let's just say it's $500. So you're paying $499, but you're only getting $499 worth of value. So that's one. So I guess the lower the price to value ratio, the better, right? What would be another example? It's like, how much do you pay for card? How much is this again? Free, pro, how much is pro? Pro is $9 a year or $19 a year. I think I pay $19 a year. Okay, so card, $19 per year. And the value I get out of it, geez, it's like, I don't know, 1,000? And so the price to value ratio is even lower, right? Yeah. Does this make sense? Do you think I should bring this up? What about the inverse, the price at which it can be ignored? A lot of recurring subscriptions are left recurring when unused because they're not so expensive. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you could consider that, but that's, what do they call that? They call that zombie revenue. And the worry about that is, it's just not a great experience for the user, right? And zombie revenue is what keeps you up at night. It's like you're stressed about it because you know people are going to cancel. Yeah, so I think AJ is a great example of someone who charges less and has built a great business charging a low amount of money. You know, he could be charging way more. He definitely could, but I just love using card. I'm going to keep paying for it forever. He is a good example of this exact thing that Tyler's thinking, right? Is that if it's underpriced relative to value, you're just going to stay with them forever. I'm going to keep a card account around forever. You know what I actually use it for is now whenever someone asks me to build them a website, I'm not logged in. I build them a website on card. and I say I'll just do it for free because it's way less hassle than me building it on something else and having to maintain it. So yeah, I think there's something here for sure. I think the value ratio example should be in there. Even if it's lightweight intro, it's a diving board for people to delve into that ratio logic. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to bring together kind of what Tyler's saying and what Nathan is saying. And there's another one. I gotta make this window smaller. It's driving me crazy. Sign in. Let's see if I've got this saved somewhere. Where is that article? I mean, that tweet. Let me see if I can find it. Understand. Tell me more. Where is it? Churn down. Churn. How come I can't find? Oh yeah, here, this one. So this guy, yeah, this guy here. Oh, I'm missing. I'm missing part of his conversation. Where is it? Here we go. And likely reduced churn as a result. I can't say if our support tickets increased as bots started resolving many chats around this time, but we put a large dent in churn by reducing the cost of our plans. I gotta send this to, I gotta save this. And then I was asking him, wait, you reduced churn? And then he said, yeah, and it was quite linear as we tested all the way down to $49 a month for our base plan. Many of our users only needed a pay account for a month, and then they paused or cancels. By reducing the financial pain, we were able to retain and acquire more users for net gain. So I'm going to incorporate this as well in the post, which I should probably just go and start writing. By the way, this is a cool tool, Bot Marker. I use this to save tweets, right? It'll save all these tweets all those tweets I just saved. They're probably back here a bit. That's probably why I couldn't find it. It's probably older. But yeah, I just save any tweet that's kind of interesting to me for later use in here. Cool. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. This chat is brutal. Thanks. There we go. All right, see ya.